Write a poem, save your life. A guide for teens, teachers, and writers of all ages. Meredith Heller. Foreword by Susan G. Wooldridge. To my students and fellow poets, all us brave ones who write poems to save our lives. I know you've got a story to tell. I know those are words curled under your tongue, poems humbling in your hands, incantations bubbling in your belly, manifestos in your laughter and love songs in your tears, rants and raves in the swing of your hips, song lyrics spilling out of your back pocket. Let them speak. Poetry is a life-cherishing force, for poems are not words, after all, but fires for the cold, ropes let down to the lost, something as necessary as bread in the pockets of the hungry. Mary Oliver, A Poetry Handbook. Foreword. We all have poems tucked inside, waiting for expression, illuminating the mysteries of who we are. In my decades of teaching poetry workshops, I've seen poems of truth and beauty emerge from even the most reluctant writers. The world is light with my imagination, Kevin wrote in high school. In Aubrey, I dressed myself with rain. A young man in juvenile hall wrote, I'm a brown gangster colliding with death. I'm a rose slamming love with hate. His poem reveals the rose hiding within his anger. With wisdom and heart gleaned from her own rocky adolescence, Heller, a masterful guide into the depths of self, provides core questions and invitation that opens the way for our souls to speak. Our poems are our pearls, Heller reminds us. We take what hurts and make it into something beautiful that has the power to heal us and others. When you commune with your own being and touch your own truth, she says, it saves you. In Write a Poem, Save Your Life, we are invited to explore all life's experiences, from identity, home, the census, body language, nature, sex, and death to empowerment, joy, and purpose. Throughout, Heller provides model poems from her students to help guide us. Earth rolls into town like she owns the place. Riva, 16. The women are wrapped in the silver of the clouds. Birds fly around their heads, showing the passing of time. Sophie, 10. Magic spell. Fang of wolf and ink of squid. Mend my broken heart whole, like when I was a kid. Izzy, 18. Understand, it's not the words in the book that will save you, however compelling they may be. It's what these pages encourage you to write. Gather your pen and paper and follow Meredith Heller's guidance to write your own poems and save your own life. Join Heller on her quest to help save the world, one poet at a time. Susan G. Wooldridge, author of Poem Crazy, Freeing Your Life with Words. Introduction. At 13 years old, disenchanted with society and in search of a deeper truth, I leave home and school and raise myself. Living in domes I built in the woods, old barns and abandoned houses along the Potomac River. I do whatever I can for cash, gardening, cleaning, making jewelry from dead snakes I find on the road. I teach myself to tan the snake skin, attach it to a tube of beads I've sewn, and make it into bracelets. I sell at a store in town for food money. I'm kicking around with the free-spirited gang of musicians, experimenting with drugs and sex, testing our edges, all of us desperately wanting to figure out who we are and what we believe in. I watch as my friends go down, overdose, suicide, mental hospitals. Struggling with life-draining depression I've had since I was a child, I often lose my faith. But each time I hit my lowest point, when I no longer care whether I live or die, the poetry comes. The first line is a gift, whispered in my ear. I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's my lifeline. I grab hold of the words, write them down, and then dive in and write without moving for 5 or 10 or 20 hours until I've finished a new poem or song. Working on poetry becomes a reason to live, something bigger than me, a way to channel my overwhelming feelings and make something tangible, make beauty from suffering. At 14, I'm brutally raped and beaten by a boyfriend and left for dead. In shock and shame, I crawl inside myself and stop speaking for months. I feel myself dissolving, pulling further and further away, retreating into a dark place where no one can find me. When I'm just about to let go of my life, the poetry comes, and the more I write, the stronger I grow. Naming my pain, I write, clenched fist. My head is lead, my heart is stoned, my body a clenched fist. My lips that once kissed you are now cracked and bleeding, dried up crones, too bitter even to gossip. Then, finding my voice after months of mute numbness, I write, how to hum. Do you remember how to listen to your heart without crying? Better yet, how to hum. It was the high reach of your voice that like a rope you climbed out of the knotted jungle through the burnt lung of night. When I'm 16, my best friend commits suicide. Shocked and heartbroken, trying to make peace with my pain in her passing, I understand that it could have been me. I write, passage of light. Years after your anger boiled itself dry, scorching the vessel of your being clean. I came to understand that we are the same animal, that our wounding bleeds the same color, only a different shade, and yours has left you softer. It has not disfigured you, sucking pain to your shoulders like pins to a magnet. It has not disfigured you, sucking pain to your shoulders like pins to a magnet. It has not gnawed through the nerve sheath, leaving you at its feral edge like me, where comfort knows no home and my name changes with the passage of light. A year later, my boyfriend ODs on heroin and burns down our warehouse. Bereft, I feel the song lyrics for Little Boy Blue coming to me like a gift. I sit all night with my guitar and write until the sun comes up. That night, I play it at a coffee house downtown. Writing the song allows me to access my feelings of loss and anger, to begin to accept what feels impossible, and finally to see that we were both struggling in our own way to grow toward the light. I write, Little Boy Blue. Little Boy Blue, with the Hot Wheels tattoo. Your hands are empty, your promises few. I read your palm in the candlelight. I saw how you'd burn me, I saw how you'd die. I'm out behind the firehouse, praying for a sign. Sifting through your ashes, I hear them whisper your lines. Up on Danny's rooftop, we watched the full moon rise. You rocked me so sweetly to the rhythm of your lies. Down in Blagden Alley, where the crooked hookers hung, we grew up like wild weeds, reaching for the sun. My whole life I've written poems and songs that saved me. Writing helps me connect with myself, name the feelings that threaten to consume me, pour myself into the deep and meticulous work of crafting a poem or song, and turn my pain into something meaningful. Poetry is a lifeline. Writing is the medicine that cleans out the wound and heals the hurt. At 17, I'd saved enough money from gardening and house cleaning jobs to spend a year hitchhiking through Europe. Everywhere I traveled, I met people like me, people searching in their own ways to figure out who they are, what makes them happy, and what gives them a sense of belonging. I came to ask myself, what can I do with my life that feels meaningful to me? I returned to Washington, D.C., passed the high school equivalency exam, and attended massage therapy school, which was how I supported myself for the next 27 years. When I was 25, I started college and worked my way up from remedial classes to honor classes, graduating magna cum laude and receiving a fellowship to the writing seminars at Johns Hopkins University. But I found I was still searching for who I was and what mattered to me. I had private practice in massage therapy, spinal cord injury rehabilitation, and health coaching. I worked as a gardener, wilderness guide, and performing singer/songwriter. I managed a retreat center in Hawaii, and I started my own company teaching music and movement classes for children. One day, while hiking through the woods along the Potomac River, I had an epiphany. If I could get to the kids who were like me, bright and creative, who learn differently and who don't fit in, if I could help them know their worth and their capabilities, discover their passions and their purpose before they give up on themselves and society, then everything I'd been through would be worth something. 3 graduate schools later, I had found my path. I wove together my passion for writing with my interests in holistic healing and experiential living. Today, I am a California poet in the schools, living a life of passion and purpose, doing what I love and helping others find their way. I teach poetry workshop for kids of all ages in both public and private schools. Kids with learning differences and health challenges, kids in survival mode at juvenile hall, and all the amazing kids and women who attend my weekly poetry workshops on Zoom. I've heard that we do our best work from the place where we've been wounded. 13th century Persian poet and mystic Rumi said, "The wound is where the light enters us." Songwriter Leonard Cohen echoed this in his song Anthem. There is a crack in everything, that's how the light gets in. And I say, the crack is also how the light gets out. On the first day of class, I tell my students, I'm not here to teach you other people's poetry. I'm here for you to teach me your poetry. Grab your paper and pen and come outside with me. I ask the kids, what do you notice? What are you aware of inside and outside you? Take in the quality of the light, the feel of the air on your skin, the sound of the rain, the water droplets balancing on leaves, the colors of your friend's sneakers, the tightness in your shoulders, the hunger in your belly, the rhythm of your breath, your sadness, your fear, your desire. There is a moment of absolute stillness. And then the shift in energy is tangible. Bodies start moving, smiles break open. It's as if all the kids have gone from being pale, crumpled paper bags to colorful, inflated balloons. They're breathing, connecting to themselves, the environment, feeling alive and present in their bodies. I ask them to remember 5 feelings and images as we walk inside and start writing. I explain that as poets, we notice things, feel things deeply, and have a strong need to express ourselves. This expression can be cathartic and empowering. I don't really believe that we can teach creativity or poetic writing, but I do believe that we can hone our ability to notice what moves us. We can develop a love language, and the joy that comes from working to find just the right word and rhythm to convey our feelings. I have found that magic happens when we name our thoughts and feelings, commit them to paper, speak them out loud. We feel a sense of belonging to ourselves and others. When we express ourselves clearly, feel understood, and see that other people resonate with our experience in a way that illuminates their own. We write for 15 minutes, and some kids ask, "What should I write?" "Well, what was alive for you out there?" I say. "What did you experience?" One girl offers shyly, "The clouds, the color of the sky, the gentle drips of rain on my skin. Is that right?" Yes, I say. If that's what you experience and it's meaningful to you, then yes, it's right. Start there. Write it down. What did it make you feel? See if you can either flesh out the feelings in images by giving them detail and painting a picture with your words, or boil them down to the bones, choosing only the most important nuggets. Okay, she responds enthusiastically, and I know she's learning to trust herself. I know she's learning that what she feels and thinks matters. She tells me she was having a bad day. Things are stressful at home and at school. She doesn't feel like she fits in or belong anywhere. But after she wrote her poem today, she said she felt better. She said it felt good to connect with her feelings, to write something in her own words, and to create something that was hers. In my work teaching poetry, writing to teens and adults, I have the honor of journeying with my students as they use writing to navigate their own way out of numbness and pain and back into life. Every day, I work with people who struggle with figuring out who they are and what matters to them. Some of the kids I work with have deeper issues such as depression, addiction, health and body image issues, learning challenges, trauma, delinquency, gender and sexual identity issues, home and family problems. All of them find healing and empowerment in writing poems. Writing poems helps people believe in themselves. It gives them a way to access and work with their feelings rather than running and hiding from what is painful. Writing poems gives people a real-life experience of their own power and wisdom, and this gives them hope. I am teaching in juvenile hall one day, and a kid asks, "Why should I write a poem? I'm stuck in here. It doesn't matter what I think. My life is not my own." I suggest that their feelings, thoughts, and imaginations are the places where they have the power and freedom to make their own choices, and that they use the freedom to explore who they are and what matters to them. We begin by personifications of the elements, and one kid chooses fire. His poem is fierce and angry. He becomes the flames and burns down the house he grew up in. When he reads his piece, his voice sears the room. Everyone cheers. He smiles for the first time. He tells me that if he can burn his past in a poem, perhaps he can move forward in his life. I always have students read their pieces in class. Some are so quiet we have to lean forward to hear them. Some read with dramatic flair, and some just kick it easy like they're talking to their best friend or singing their favorite song. We clap after each piece because we know the courage and vulnerability it takes to share your poem out loud. I reflect their juiciest lines back to them so they know they've been heard and celebrated. And so the other kids learn what kind of wording and imagery brings a poem to life. The whole class becomes a learning community, and in hearing their classmates' poems, they realize they're not alone. By the end of class, they've relaxed, their eyes are shining, and I know they found a path in poetry writing, as I have. The bell rings and no one moves. They all look at me like they don't want to leave, like they don't want to lose this. This is my greatest moment. I believe in them, and they feel it, and they begin to believe in themselves. "Go on," I say. "This is yours. No one can take this from you. Keep listening inside yourself. Keep noticing what you feel and what moves and inspires you. Make a list. Write it down. See you next week."